between Spring and Hibernate, as well as with JDBC template, right? So after that, I have told you one basic topic on Spring MVC, right? So how to even develop how to develop one small application. Say you have one controller written and you have a action that you're performing, and that particular method returns you some action, right? So I'll just show you that project we have done last class. So the project was Spring project. The name of the project was Spring. So where I have declared some controllers, right? So I have before even going to the controllers, we have web.xml because any web application that you're developing, we need to have this web.xml. So here deployment descriptor, where I have configured my dispatcher servlet. So this is acting as a front controller, right? So last class we have learned what is front controller, where any request which is been sent will actually go to this front controller. So front controller will redirect, or it actually takes the required action to be performed and get the response and give it back to the user, right? So this was the configuration we did, right? So there is something called lowdown startup. There is something called a class of dispatcher servlet, from where we are actually getting this instance created. So in our normal servlet application programming, we used to map for each request what is the servlet. We used to map all the classes there. So here in Spring, we avoid all the configuration written in same file in web.xml. We have a separate file called as Spring -servlet. So because it's the name of servlet, whatever you give front controller name, you are supposed to configure with the same name, Spring -servlet. So here I have written component scanning with the base package called as Spring. So my package was Spring, so I gave the base package as Spring. So what is the main intention for me to write this component scan? Because my Spring application has to know what controllers I have written, right? So these controllers are just Java classes, where there is an annotation written called as at controller on top of each of these classes. Basically they are acting as a normal classes. The moment you write at controller annotation, it gets auto-wired, right? So this is how we configure our web MVC framework. And we had an annotation called as request mapping. If somebody calls /page1, so this view page 1 should be executed, right? So this is how we configure things. So we had these two HTML XML files where we need to write a lot of configurations here, and we had written controllers. So for each request, what should be the response. So this is how we have learned last class, right? If you look at the architecture or the project structure itself, you have a lot of things here, right? You have src main, web app, webinf, then you have these files written, right? So there is a lot of stuff that you have to do, at least to just write a hello world program, right? This is just nothing but a hello world program. You just go and run it on the server. It just maps it to one particular file, index.html or index.jsp, where I have written some buttons there. On click of each button, it was executing a view page, just like a hello world program we have done, right? Only for hello world program, we have to write these two configurations that we need to take care. And also our common dependencies where we add is called as pom.xml. In pom.xml, to perform this activity, we added a lot of jars, right? So we added basically Spring MVC jar. So we added Servlet API, and we added many of these jars manually, and we have done this project, right? So now what we are going to learn is, we are going to learn similar thing and in a much reduced effort manner. Okay, so this code was just having some buttons, username and password. So if you click on each button, it had a page which it was triggered, it was configured that way, and it used to render that page, right? So you have username and password to be admin. It used to take you to one page. So there is some files which I have removed, that's why we're not getting it. So this is how we configured it in our last class, right? So now the same Spring application, we are going to see a very easy way of doing this, creating a Spring application no matter if it is a simple application or a complex application, you don't want to do most of the things that you are normally doing in your traditional Spring application. Okay, so today's agenda is to learn something beyond our learnings that we did till now. So whatever we learned in Spring, it's maybe dependency injection, inversion of control, and we have learned JDBC connectivity. All these topics are very important for our next topic to be learned. Okay, so the project that we are going to learn in Spring is nothing but your Spring Boot project. So, okay, so the Spring Boot is a framework, which is again a Spring framework, which we are going to learn today. Okay, so if somebody asks, okay, what is Spring Boot? Okay, so what is Spring Boot? The first question, Spring Boot is nothing but it's a standalone. So if you create any applications using Spring Boot, you are creating a Spring application, basically a Spring application which you are creating, which is standalone, production grade, right? Spring based applications that you can just run. So why do we go for Spring Boot? Spring Boot is a framework we are using to develop some applications. So what type of applications we are developing? We are creating Spring based applications. So what are those, how those applications would look like, right? Those applications are standalone, production grade, ready to deploy kind of applications that we are going to develop. So if you see our traditional program that we did here, right? So here we had configuration, a lot of configuration done, and we are running it on an external browser, external server, right? Tomcat server. We had just added its instance here in our application, and whenever we are running it, we are actually going and manually deploying it on our server. So every time we run this code, we are directly deploying it to an external browser, external server, right? So it's a Apache Tomcat server. In my case, I am externally deploying it to this particular server. So now I want to reduce this work. So I just want to have everything in one application. Means if I create one project in Spring Boot, I don't want to add any server. I don't want to think of configuration. I don't want to do any of those work in Spring Boot. So Spring Boot is basically framework for your Spring applications. So usually Spring is a framework, right, which allows you to do many use cases in your application development. But Spring Boot is to make you start some application development right away. Okay, see, for example, we have optimal view of Spring framework. A third-party library can also get started with minimum fuss. Means you don't want to do any Spring configuration that you are normally doing, right? So you don't want to have a front controller configuration if you are doing MVC, or you don't want to have any of those application context, any of those configurations that you want to perform. Spring Boot does everything for you. So to give you a layman example, right? In case you are trying to construct your home, right? So how do you construct your home, right? Initially, you will list all the dependencies to build your house. Maybe it might be bricks, it may be sand, or it may be cement or steel. Many things, right? Many things are required for a house to be built. So that is how you used to do in your Spring framework. You used to think of all the dependencies and add them to your project. But what Spring Boot does it's like a contractor, right? He does everything and give you the keys for your home directly. So what you have to do, you do the interior designing, right? You want to place your sofas there, or TV here, or fridge there. That's only part that you want to take care, right? So you don't want to stand behind them and give cement or bricks or anything to build your house. So a contractor who will do everything for you, and he will give keys to you at the end of some 6 months or 1 year, right? So that is the work of Spring Boot here. So it will take care of most of the configurations that you used to do in Spring framework. And what you want to do is just concentrate on your business logic. Just concentrate on your business logic. Don't worry about other external configurations. Okay. So what are the features? If you look at the features, so it is used to create a standalone application. What do you mean by standalone application is you can run this application as a jar file or a var file. Means you can either deploy it directly or you can run it directly once it is created, right? So this Spring Boot will already have an embedded Tomcat server. Means you don't want to add any external browsers or external servers to it, right? You don't want to add an external server and configure that in your workspace and do all that. No, just create one Spring Boot application. It internally have a Tomcat server for you. You don't want to add it externally, right? So this is something very unique when it comes to Spring Boot, and which provides opinionated starter dependencies to simplify your build configuration. So what do you mean by opinionated starter dependencies, right? So see, for example, any application that is present in the market, right? For example, any e-commerce application, if you take, it has a basic syntax, right? There is some opinion on one e-commerce website, right? It should have products, it should have billing, it should have mail, it should have invoice generation, it should have card feature. So most of the things we already know, right? What configurations we need. We need a database, we need many dependencies to that e-commerce website, right? So your Spring Boot will give all those opinionated things to your project directly. So you don't want to add all the dependencies one by one. So if you just use one dependency, all the opinionated dependencies will be directly added to your build path. So that is the unique feature of Spring Boot. Okay. So one more is automatically configure Spring and third-party libraries whenever possible. Means in case you need some third-party libraries from Spring, right? To configure your Spring application, maybe you need say Spring MVC, or you had something called JPA, right? So you need those dependencies. So previously what you used to do, you used to identify each dependency, go to Maven repository, right? So I think I will just show you that. We have done it last class. So you used to go to this Maven repository and you used to actually manually take the things here, right? Say for example, Hibernate Core. I used to take that jar for Hibernate Core and I used to add it, right? So manually I used to take this and add it in my pom.xml. So whenever you are in this Spring Boot, right, whenever you are building an application using Spring Boot, you don't want to do it automatically. It is done for you. Means most of the opinionated dependencies are added directly. Okay. So, and see, it provides production ready features such as metrics, health checks, and externalized features. Say imagine there is something called Spring Boot Actuator, where if you want to get what is the memory which it is taking, what is the health of your application, how much space it is remaining, or how much memory is being occupied, or what is the status of your project, right? So everything will be easily identified by using matrices and health checks by using Spring Actuator. So we'll learn all this, and absolutely no so this is something very important. So absolutely no code generated for other requirements like XML configurations. Means we don't do any XML configuration in our projects, in our Spring Boot projects. This is the important topic that you should know. So these are the features that Spring Boot offers, right? So what we are going to do in this today's class, right? So in today's class we are going to learn what is Spring Boot. 1 minute, yeah. So we are going to learn what is Spring Boot and why it is used in day-to-day application development. What was the disadvantages we had in Spring, right? So I think if you understand the disadvantages we had, we can appreciate how Spring Boot is solving that problems to us. Okay. 1 second. Okay. So what were the disadvantages in the previous technologies, right? So the basic problem in Spring is it has a huge learning curve, right? Because Spring is huge. So for each activity or each specification or the task that you want to do, Spring already has its own way of doing. See, for example, if you are using Hibernate integration with Spring, right? It has its own way of doing it. There is a template class, or if you are doing JDBC integration, there is Spring and JDBC template, right? So you have to use that template, and you have to do certain configurations that you want to perform. Means what is the main thing that you should do? You should know what are the different ways. You have to learn the way it is done, right? How Spring is doing. So that is the main disadvantage of Spring, right? You have to understand each and every way. Again, Spring Boot also has the same problem, because Spring Boot again is a framework for Spring applications, right? So it also has some certain rules that you have to follow while developing an application. But what is the advantage in Spring Boot is, even though the learning curve is there, but there is no configuration that you need to learn, right? So you have very small annotations that you will use. Only thing is, you should know, depending on the versions of Spring which is released, there are slight changes which is going to happen in the configuration steps, but most of it will remain same. And in Spring, what we had huge configuration steps, right? Each and every dependencies you used to use, you were going and adding those dependencies in your pom.xml. And if any external third-party libraries you need to use, you need to configure it again, right? So that was a bit of tough job when it compared to Spring. So now what we are going to learn today is about Spring Boot. So what we will do is, let us start with a simple project and see how to develop one particular application. Okay, so let us start one Hello World application with Spring Boot. Okay, so for that it's better you can go and use Spring STS, right? So preferred IDE for Spring Boot is STS. So just go to the Spring Boot. There are different ways to create your first project. Means as you already know the advantages of Spring Boot, it has everything built in, right? It is ready to run kind of application that you are trying to do, right? So for that, Spring Boot provides different ways that you can create project. So one simple way is the traditional way of how we were doing is, we go to new and we create our Maven project, right? So we used to create our Maven project. This is one traditional way. So this is one way of doing it. The second way is, you have a Spring Starter project. Okay, so you can directly go and use this Spring Starter project. Okay, so this is the second way. So one is, you can directly create a Maven project, and then, or you can use a starter project here, or there is something called as Spring Initializer. Okay, so if you just go to online browser, just type Spring Initializer. So Spring Initializer, so it is already there for us, right? You can directly go for spring.io. So here you have a project structure where you can do. So for example, I want Maven project, language is Java, and what is the version of Spring Boot that you want to develop. So this is the stable version 2.3.3, so which I am using in this current example. Then you can give some of the data here. See what is the group name, artifact ID, name, description of the project, and what is the package name that you want to create. You can configure it. Okay, as per your wish, you can configure it. You can go and select what is the Java version, right? Is it 14, 11 or 8? So currently I am having 11 installed, so it is by default 11 I am choosing here, right? So here at the right side you have dependencies, so you can directly add these dependencies to your project. Say for example, I want to create a web MVC project, right? So there is a dependency called as Spring Web, right? Just click on this and that dependency is added, right? You don't want to have that added for, say, externally. You don't want to do it externally. So once you do like this, so you want other dependency, like you need a Spring Reactive Web, right? Just click on that, right? So I just clicked on these two. what I do is there is a button called as generate. So the moment I click on this generate, it actually downloads me a zip file, right? So what is this zip file? If I check it out, it is an actual project which is created for you in whole, right? You don't want to do anything here. So it created everything for you, right? It has the entire project structure which it created for you. So what you have to do is you have to write your code here. Directly go to this demo and you start doing this, right? Or if you want to use this same thing in your IDE, so just go to your IDE. You have something called file. You have export option, right? So import option. So just click on import, and so here you want to just get that jar file which you have already downloaded. So just go to existing projects in the workspace, file system. Okay, so just go to Maven. Okay, so here you can check for, because we created a Maven projects, existing Maven project. So click on next. So it is so where it is present, I just go to the root directory where it is present. I think it is in, yeah, so this is the project, right? So I just click on finish. The moment I click on finish, that project, right, demo project that I have created is directly imported to my workspace, right? So this is the project. What is this project? It is a ready Spring Boot project which is ready to run. Okay, so you don't want to do any configuration. If you want to do the first project, just what's your task is just go to this Spring STS, and here you give all the dependencies and click on generate. Whatever jars you need, whatever dependencies you need, everything will be downloaded, and internal server also will be downloaded along with your project. Okay, so your project has everything that is required, right? So I see now I don't want to see, this is the project, right? Demo is the project. Now I don't want to do anything. I just right click on it, run as Java application. That's it. I don't want to even deploy it to some external server. I don't want to do all those stuff, right? So my job is just to deploy it or run it as a Java application. So if you do that, I'll just stop the previous instance. I will just come to this. So this is the by default created class for us, right? So I just right click on it and run it as a Java application. So but how we run our web applications is we used to deploy it on the server, right? But here I will not do it. I'll just go and run it as a Java application. The moment I do it, you can see Spring Boot is actually getting started, right? So you can see the internal server which is already there, the Tomcat server is starting. It's you can see even though I run it as a Java application, it is actually starting your port 8080 and it is launching your application. So it took around 9.5 seconds to launch it. So what does your demo project do? It does not do anything, right? I have not configured anything here. I just have a template which somebody generated to me, right? So this template will say this is your first Spring Boot project. You are done. You can do anything with it. So but I have literally not written any code, so it is not going to perform any code for me, right? Anything for me. So if I want to say I want to perform a hello world program, if I want to do that code, so what I can do is I can just go and right click here on this package. I will create a controller. Say I want one controller to be created. So I will create say hello controller, or right. So I'll just create one hello controller. Okay, so I just created a hello controller. So the first thing that I have to make Spring know that I have created a controller. So you have to annotate it with REST controller, right? So there is this annotation called as REST controller. The moment I write this, my Spring Boot application will understand that, okay, this person has written a REST controller. So what does this REST controller do, right? If somebody sends a request, So if there's somebody who's sending a request, those methods will be mapped inside this REST controller. Say for example, there is a method called as hello. Okay, just a hello method where hello method is returning some string. So I'll change the return type to string. Okay, so here I have to mention the request mapping for what request this hello should be executed. So I will say at request mapping. So this is the annotation that we generally use, right? So at request mapping, so I will specify the URL for which it should print hello world, right? So I will say it as hi. Okay, so /hi. If somebody sends a request for /hi, I have to print hello world. So this is the basic configuration that I have done. Means what I did now, I just concentrated only on my business logic. I did not worry about adding the dependencies. I didn't worry about what are the jars which are present or what is the server which I am running, nothing, right? So I just did this much work, and now what I will do is I'll just run this. I first have to stop the server and just run it as Java application. I'm not even running on the server as a Java application. The moment I do it now, so you can see again your server will start saying, you can see the version that is 2.3.3. it's the latest Spring Boot release which I am using. So it actually returned, it said okay, Tomcat has started in port 8080, right? So what you can do is just go to that local host 8080, right? So now here you get this error because you have not even configured any page for this 8080. One second. Okay, for this 8080 you have not even configured any resource, and also you have not configured a /error page. That's why you are getting it. But we have configured our resource for /hi, right? For /hi we have configured hello world to be written, right? The moment I click on it, you will get a hello world. So what magic happened here is, even though I did a Spring application now, right? I just did a Spring application. What does Spring application is doing? It is doing all the things it was doing before, right? It is doing auto wiring, it is doing dependency injection, it is doing inversion of control, it does everything that normal Spring application does, but you don't want to do the configuration. Everything is taken care by Spring Boot. Okay, so all the dependencies, Maven dependencies required are added here. You can see here all the dependencies that you need to run one Spring application is already added for you for free. You did not tell any of this dependency to be added, but it has added everything by default. Okay, so that is the magic of Spring Boot. That is very important. So this is how you can just say you have configured your first application. So what is that task reduction part is, you want to do hello world program, just write a controller and write a method for that. So I will take care of the remaining things. That's what your contractor in house says, right? You give me all the money that is required to buy materials and everything. So what I will do is I will construct the entire building with all the required stuff and give the keys to you back. So that is what your Spring Boot does it for you. So till here, is there any confusion or any doubts regarding the first application to be started and you are running it? So did you understand this, guys? Did you understand the basic stuff, how to create the project? So we did it in a hard way, right? We did it using the easier solution that Spring is giving us. It is nothing but your Spring initializer, right? So you are able to hear me, those? Okay. Aditya, you're able to hear me?
Yes, you're able to hear it.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. I I'm not sure whether you are able to hear me or not. Okay, did you
Yes,
understand
I
the,
can hear you.
yeah, did you understand the basic stuff that we did now, right? This is one way of creating a basic Spring application, right? So if you ask me, is this the only way? No, there are different ways to start or create your first project or any Spring Boot project. So this is one of the way by using Spring Initializer. Okay, what is the other way? So there is one more way. You can just go to your there are 2 3 more ways also. So basically if you learn another way, it's enough. So just go to this file and you have new, you can create a Maven project. Okay, so for now I will not see. If you just choose this artifact type, you can choose whichever you want, but I just skip it for now. I just want to create a normal Maven project. Say I will say com.hcl dot, say I have some dummy project. Okay, so just for understanding purpose, right? So I give name like starter. Okay, so I'm just creating a normal Maven project. I am not even saying I'm creating a Spring Boot project. I am creating a normal project. Now if you see this project, right, you can just see this is a dummy project I created now. So if you just see your web.xml, so it would have only these properties, because it is, I'm not telling it it is a Spring Boot application or a Spring application, or I did not mention any of those dependencies, right? So now what we will do is we will see how exactly Spring Boot is injecting all these dependencies and how it is managing all that, right? If you go back to your demo project and see your pom.xml, so what Spring Boot did is Spring Boot added one important parent tag, or the starter tag called as parent. So you can see here, this is the important dependency it added called as parent, where it so this is the first thing that you should observe here. And later on it added all the other dependencies, say web starter. That's what the two dependencies we added, right? So one is starter web, and one more is I think reactive web or something. We added two dependencies in this particular demo, right? So it automatically added all the dependencies to your project. So it is taking Java version also as 11 and everything, right? So now what if you want to configure it manually, right? So what if you want to, I just created a project called as dummy project. Now I want to configure all the dependencies, or I want to make this dummy project a Spring Boot project. So what important things that you need here is you need a parent tag, or the parent dependency. So what is this parent dependency is doing here is, this is like your contractor. So this parent dependency has all the basic use cases or the basic dependencies required. Okay, so this is very important. The moment you add these tags, all the basic information that you require, right? It's not actually adding the dependencies, it will add the basic requirements that is required for your project to start with. See, maybe basic requirements for building a house is you need a site, you need the plot, right? You need a plot, and you have to have some workers and some of the basic things, right? So based on the money, those things will depend. So let us see it later. So as of now, what you need in your project, in your normal Maven project, to convert it to Spring Boot is this dependency, right? So this is a parent tag that is required. So I just go to pom.xml and add this parent tag. Okay, so just add that parent tag. Now your project is now actually a Spring Boot project. Okay, I can say, okay, your project is now Spring Boot project, because this parent tag will have information about all the starter requirements for your application to build and to run. Okay, and one more thing that you need here is the dependencies, the specific dependencies that you need for your project. Say for example, you need here we added Spring Web and Spring Reactive Web. say I want only Spring Web, right? So you can just go to Maven repository and type Spring Web. You can see Spring Boot Starter Web, right? So this is the dependency I need. So I just go to this dependency and copy this. So now I am converting my project into the Spring Boot project. So obviously I need a tag called dependencies. So inside which I will add this copied dependency. The moment you do this, so now what I have a Spring Boot Starter Web as the basic dependency. But if you do these two will actually make your project to act as a Spring Boot project. Now you can see the moment I add this dependency, right, your Maven dependencies are added here. So what is your parent is saying? Parent has all the versions and all the common dependencies that you want to use. And in fact, if you add one dependency, that dependency will be downloaded directly from using this parent reference. So whatever parent says, all these are required for my first project to start running, right? So directly Maven repository takes all that and dumps all the jars into your project. Even though you do it, there is some problem here. There is one error basically which happens. So just save it and just right click on it, go to Maven and update project. So this will resolve all the problems that you are having in the project. Okay, yeah, now it is solved, right? So now it is solved. Now this project will act as a Spring Boot project. So what is the main thing that you need now? You need one more thing here, right? You need a main method. So from where my program should start. So that is very much important. So I'll just go and create a normal class, right? So I will just go and create a normal class. I will say it is welcome. Okay, so just a normal class where I want to write my main method. So I just write main method. Okay, so now I want this main method to be executed whenever I start my project. So I am creating a Spring Boot project. So obviously this should start initially. Before something happens, I should call this main method. So then only my project will act as a Spring Boot project. So for this, what is the main thing that you should do? Is you have to tell this welcome as this initial configuration, or you should say that is where your Spring Boot application is starting, right? So for that there is one annotation called as at Spring Boot application. So I am saying, okay, this welcome is from where your Spring Boot application is starting. Okay, so now in your normal Spring applications, right, how was the scenario was, there was something called as application context you had, and it was you are doing get bean method, right? You are getting the bean from the application context, and then you are doing all those stuff. Now what about here? Say, how can you do that here? So for that there is one shortcut, right? So there is something called as Spring application. So this class Spring application will do that application context dot get bean work for you, right? So the moment you do Spring application dot run, there is a method called as run. So this is used to run your first application. That's it. Whenever you start the main method, so you are just calling this Spring application dot run. So internally what happens? Internally Spring Boot will actually use your container, that is application context container, and it will do the get bean, and it will create the object of it. It will store it in the container, and it will call it automatically, right? So everything is done automatically by your Spring Boot. What you should do? You should call this method run. You have to pass two parameters, right? So what are those? One is the class for which you are using, right? So what is the class? You have configured it as welcome. So welcome is the class. Okay, and just leave this args there, so don't worry about this. Welcome. Okay, welcome dot class, sorry.
So this is how we do it, right? We, in application context also, we have to we are doing get bean of some class name we have dot class, right? So we used to use that get bean method. Similarly, I am using this run method, application context dot run. So what it is internally doing is it is creating my servlet container or my application context container. It is calling get bean. So what are the beans? Now I don't have any beans created, right? I don't have any auto wiring done with my project. So I don't have XMLs where I will write some dependencies and I will use it here. I did not do that also, right? I cannot get bean also directly. So for that you need to create some classes. So any class that you create, you have to use that. Like previously we have done one, right? So now we will do something else. Say I need something called as product. So I have a class called as product, so maybe it is having some properties. So I say so instead of going for the actual properties, I'll just have one method here as of now, say display, and I will name this as add rest controller. So this is the annotation that I tell to my Spring Boot application that I have written one controller where it has some methods. So for this I have to have a request mapping. So what is the request that I'm sending? Say I'm saying display slash display. If I'm calling this slash display, I have to print this, right? So it basically returns string display all. It's a dummy string which I am adding here to make sure your application is acting like the Spring Boot, right? So I just do return display all products. Okay, so I just save this. Okay, so it is having string as the return type. So now just right click on it and run, right? So now you just go to this main method itself where you have written the code, just run as Java application. You can choose Spring Boot application also or Java application, everything works fine. So for that you should stop the server and then do it. So make sure you are doing it every time. So you can see now the new project that we have done is getting deployed now. It's dummy welcome project. So you can see there is some error. It says, okay, already in use, port 8080 is already in use. I'll just close it and again launch it. Okay, so I think now it should work. Yeah. So now you can see it is saying it is started in 8080, right? So for what request we have configured, only we have written one method called as display method. So only we have configured for display. So the moment somebody says slash display, it should display this string. That's what we have configured. Let us go to 8080 and obviously this will not work now. Hi, so I have display configured. The moment I call display, it says displaying all the products. So this is how we do Spring Boot applications, right? So it is very handy, very simple steps of configurations that you need to do, but you can make any complex application build, start running now. Okay, so now what we are going to learn in this topic now today is we will just design one complete application for one REST service, right? So we will have all the requests that you are using. So for example, I have products, I have list of products. You can add some new products into that list, or you can delete some products, or you can update the product, or you can remove the product. So we can do a simple application which does all this work. See, for example, if you are getting the products, we need some products already available, right? So for that you can actually connect to database and pull all the data present there, and using the result set we can do that work. But as of today, right, what we will do is we will have a static data. Okay, so what we will do now, we'll have list of products as a static data. So what we will build in our application today is we will build a mechanism in which we can get all the products in the form of JSON data, and to like all the CRUD operations basically we do, right? So put, update, delete, add, and display. So all these operations we will perform using our normal Spring Boot project. Okay, so now how we are going to do it? So obviously if we are learning Spring Boot, right, so what are the major prerequisites that we need? I think you already have a core Java strong understanding. You have J2EE understanding and MVC design pattern and Spring framework. So all this we already know, right? So we will use all these topics and we will design this CRUD based application. I think from now around 30 minutes we will spend time in understanding our first project. So first project which has some data, some static data which we will declare, and we will try to print that data and update that data in our project. Okay, so for that what I will do is I will just go back here. Okay, so what we will do first is we will create some data here. I think product is a class where I have written some, I will write some, product is actually an entity, right? We can, or it's a POJO, we can write some properties here, and we can do an actual project itself instead of doing the normal ones. Okay, so I'll just create one project and we will check how exactly an application can be developed. So here I will write some properties, say, so private int id. So int id is a property, and we have every product will have a name, and it will have a description. Okay, so I'm just saying, I'm assuming these are the properties which are available. So I will just go to source and generate getters and setters for all the fields, and constructor for that. Okay, so I'll add one more no argument constructor. So I just created a POJO here with some add properties to this. Okay, so I think I'll just keep this welcome.java as it is. I will not do any changes to this. And now what do we need? We need a separate classes, right? We need a controller now. I have a POJO now. Now I need a controller, and I also need a service class where I will write the static data and pull that data from the service, right? So my work is to develop other two normal classes and annotate them in such a way that they are auto wired, and whenever I run this application, those dependencies are also added. Okay, so that is the agenda. So for that what I will do is I will just create a service first. So because I need to hard code my data to this, so I will create product service, just a service class where I'm having my product details or the hard coded data. So here you can also connect in this class, you can also connect to a database. So it is an optional one. So to make this control as a service, I will just annotate it with service at service. Okay. So inside this, I'm going to write my static data, right? So we need to hard code some data. What we can do is, okay. One second, I will just import this list also from the util, and as list. I think, yeah, I need a list here. So this will have some objects, say new product of. So here I'll just hard code the data. One comma. So product name is mobile. Description is dual SIM. So array list also should be imported. I think one bracket is extra here. So for now I'll just add 4 attributes, 4 products. Say I have mobile, I have say car, I have bike, and I have say tab. Okay. So here I'm just changing the description so that description would be different. So some description I have randomly given. So this is static data which I'm creating. So why this static data? Because this data I'm trying to use it in all my code, because here I can also connect to a database and I can pull the data from there and I can use that data. So in the next class I will create that code here. So in the same service I'm going to replace this with some JDBC code or Spring Hibernate integrated code. I will replace this. So for today what we are doing, these are the products which are available. Okay, so these products I need to have a way to get this product. It's a static data that I just added here in this products, I product service, I need to get it, right? So I will write some methods to get this products. Okay. So okay, so before we do that, so this is one static data. And what else we need here is we need one controller. So for what request, what action should happen, right? For example, I have slash products, it should return all these products. And if I have slash product, and if you pass ID, it should only return this mobile. And if I do slash product, and like if I do delete a request for this ID, it should delete this product. If I want to do update request with any product, it should do that update request. So all that methods I want to write, so that basically is written inside a controller. So I'll just create one controller also. So I just say it as product controller. Okay. So yeah, so here I will just add this as REST controller as usual, and here I'll write some methods. So basically these methods will specify what are the actions that you are performing, right? Say for example, you have method like get all products. So get all products is the method. So what does this get all products will return? It will return you the complete products. So it will be the list of products. So obviously the return type should be list of products. Product. Okay. Save it and import it. So here I have to, yeah, so again this will return all the objects. So where will I actually write the implementation? I will write the implementation in service. So I can use either lambda expressions, or I can write a for loop, iterate over it and get all the elements printed. So it's again an optional one. So I will just call a method called as the product service dot. Okay, so before that I need one, so product service, I will have it as a dependency here because I cannot use it if I don't have it. Product service. So this is the dependency I have in my product controller. I just create a getter and setters for that. Create getters and setters. Fine. So now I'll use this service, right? Service dot. So I will. So now I am calling a method. So actually I don't have that method already coded, but I'll just call it and I will code it after that. Okay. So get all products. Get all products. So this method is not available in your service, so I'll just create it. So here I have to write my code to get the products. So that is this first method implementation that I have to write. And apart from that, what else is required? Okay, just format it. Okay, so next method that I need, okay, let us do this part one. So getting all the products from my product list. So this is our agenda as of now. So later we'll add a few more methods to deal with. Okay, so now I have to write the implementation here. So I think you already know the easier way of doing it, right? So we can use lambda expressions, or we can also write our traditional for loop code to do this. So we'll just concentrate on simple code. Here I have this product. I think, yeah, so product dot you have stream dot filter so what are the arguments that you are passing is using id. I'm iterating it. Okay, I don't want to iterate it and check for anything. I just want to return that product as of now. And get all products. Products and suppression used to get all products. Okay, so in my controller, what I have to do, I have to also add this request mapping. So request mapping is I need to have for what request I need to get all this, right? So I will just give it like slash get all products, or I will just send it to get all. Okay, so get all is a request if I am sending. The moment I send get all request, it should return me all the products. So all the products is just in product. So product is the array list I have created. I have created array list because it can be mutable. If you don't name it as array list, if it is just arrays dot list, so it will be unmutable, right? It is mutable. Sorry, you cannot change the value, you cannot update the values. So in order to add some products, or if I want to update some products, I need to use it as array list. So that's the reason I have changed it to array list. So here, okay, so I have done my first application. So what I'll do is you can use one more way of testing this application. You can still run this project. Just stop this project first and okay, so just go to this welcome and run it as Java application. So okay, so now if you go here and obviously this will not work. Get all is the URL. So if you give get all, now you'll get, okay, I'm getting error. So it is saying null pointer exception. Controller dot get all products. Okay, I'll check in this service. So what happened? Get all products is the method, it's returning product. So any idea, guys, where I have checked it? So what is happening here is you
I think services.
pardon?
I think product service is not auto add in controller.
Okay, correct. I think this service is doing that work, right? If I make this a service, it is doing that work. It is having a null pointer exception actually. It is saying this product is null. Application, get all products. Okay, once I will stop it and rerun it, maybe that is the reason.
Do we need that auto-wide mapping annotation here?
Not required, Prasenjit, I think, right?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Here, I think it will be required at the rate service will create a bean, but it will not map to product controller without an at the rate auto map. So one pointer is the exception is for the service object only.
Now in your controller,
Controller,
you
yeah.
have
Yes. Yeah, sorry. I think I'll stop it. Yes, you can see this data, right? So automatically that object data is converted to a JSON data. So this is something Spring Boot does it automatically for you. So in normal situation, right, if you want to convert it, you have to parse the data to a certain format. You have to use some parser and everything, right? So here it is doing internally all that work, and it is giving you a perfect JSON data as an output. So you don't want to do the detailing part, or you don't want to even say that you want to parse it to some other type. So it is directly converting that into a JSON format. Okay, so this is about getting the values, right? So similarly, you can have one record. Say if you pass ID, you can get one record out of it, or you can design your classes in such a way that you have a post request. So let us see the different requests being done. So for that, I have already done one small project so that I can use that. Or okay, I will do a few of those, and then we can see the remaining part. So now the requirement is you need to get one user, right? Say for example, I pass one ID. Say one product list should be shown to me. Say for example, ID is 1. It should show me whatever the car which we have set. Mobile 2 means car, 3 means bike. So I have to get the product details by ID. So if I want to configure it, so what I can do is I can write a separate method for it. Say for example, I'm requesting for, say, slash get product. So here I'm not only requesting for product. Say I want product /1. So product /1 will actually give you only the first product or the second product, 2 or 3. So what if I want to pass it dynamically any value, right? So in my URL I can pass any value. For that it should print. So for that I can write this and have ID inside. So according to ID, whatever you pass as a ID, it should pick up automatically, and it should give you that product detail. So this is the annotation that you have to do. So now you have to write the implementation for getting that particular product. So get product method. So get product will actually now return one specific product, right? So I will also name the same thing here. So here you have to pass a ID. So basically you have to pass a ID. So according to that ID, it should fetch the details, and it should print it. I think the return type also would be product. So you need one more ID parameter, right? So for that you have to use one more annotation. So that is called as at path variable. So at path variable. So what is that path variable that you need is int ID. So you need to use this int ID, and you have to return that particular thing. So here I want to create this method. So here you don't want everything, or like previously we returned all the details, right? So now you want one specific ID you are passing. According to this ID, you want this data, that product to be rendered, right? So here you can write your lambda expression and filter one particular detail out of it. So just use that. Right, dot to filter, say I have product dot get ID. So if it is integer, I will use equal to this ID. First dot get. I think this is the syntax to get a product by ID. So in the URL, what you are supposed to do is you have to pass. I think there is some error. Okay. So now what you have to do is you have to pass an ID. So according to this ID, it will fetch you the product details. Right. So I just stop the server and relaunching it. So URL is slash get product slash ID. Okay. So just go back to this. I think get all will work as it is. Now I don't want get all, I want say get product slash, if I say 1, it should return me the first product. So it is returning me only the first product. So this is how you can means you can make it adjustable, right? So now I'm getting mobile. Say in case I search for 4, I get some other thing that I have configured. Say 4, I will get see tab which I configured, right? So you can do that here. So this is one. So this is all get requests. Now what if you want to add a product into that list? So literally if you want to add it, so we have to go for Postman to do that, right? So for that particular request URL, you need to send a post request or maybe a put request. If it is update, then we have to do that. For that we need Postman access, right? So just go to Chrome and you will have that Postman plugin. So just use that. I think I have already used that plugin. Launch app. So this is the plugin available for sending some API. So make an API call to your application from remotely. You can use this app. I think it is launched. So here you can configure your requests and things. So here the slight difference that you should notice if you are using post request. So there is some alternate code that you have to write apart from the normal code. I'll just show you that. So, okay. So what is the URL that you are using is so slash get all. Okay, so the same URL you can see if you use it in Postman and send get request, right? So you will get all the details, product details here, right? So before you do it, it is returning you in a string format. It might, yeah. So you just set the content type. Content type you set it to JSON. I think I have already set it. Okay, it's already set here. Content type is for application slash JSON. So now we just learned get request. Now we will learn how to do this post request, put request, and delete request. Okay, so for that again I have to go back to my code and I have to write those specific methods to deal with, right? Say what if the task is to put some data, so put some external data into this product list if somebody asks you to do that. So you have to write one more controller method. Say, okay, so what is the changes that you need to do here is, say you are doing add product. Okay. So here for add product, I have this request mapping. Here the request mapping will slightly vary if you are going for post request, right? So what is that? So here you have to give an attribute, say method. You are specifically mentioning some other method. If it is get request, right, by default this is a get request. If you don't mention anything, it is a get request. If you want to perform some other request, you have to mention it explicitly here. Say you want to mention post request, so you have to use request body, okay, so request method dot post. Okay, so post is the request which I am doing, and you also have to mention the value because you need this URL to be sent, right? So value is equal to say you want slash, say put product or add product. Okay, so I'm just adding that product there. I'm not doing like adding a product with some ID, means I'm not updating anything. I'm just adding a product. So for that I have just used this URL mapping, and so here I will just return add product. So here we used to write this path variable, right? So along with this path variable, we need some more details here. So to the request at path variable is also required, that is your ID, and what is important here is apart from this, we if it is a post request, you should send it in a request body, right? So you have to use request, okay, request body. Okay, so what you want a product type. Okay, but here, okay, I want to pass just an add product method. I will just code that in my this product. think I've missed something here. Add product. I have to pass request body. Post method post and value is equal to slash add product. Okay, this is fine. Add trainer. Okay, I think it should go here. Change it to void because when I'm adding I don't want to return anything, so that's fine. I think this is done, so I have to just code this add product. So in add product, so we have to add based on the value, right? So so just one thing here also, I don't want to return anything. I will just make it void, and I will add it to my product. Say product dot add. So this product which I'm passing from there, I'm adding it to my product list. Okay, so this is it. Now I'll just go back to my Postman and do this request. So I am doing this post request, and in the body I have to pass some details, some JSON value I have to pass. Say I will pass ID is equal to some random value, say 5, and name of the product. So I can give name of the product is speaker, and there is description, right? What is that description? So description would be say JBL speaker. So what I'm doing here is I'm doing a post request with for this. Okay, URL I need to change. So what is the post request URL that you are using? I think in the controller I'm using add product. So I'm just doing this add product. So for this I'm doing a post request, and what is the data I'm posting? I'm posting this data, right? So I think everything seems to be fine. Moment I send it, okay, there is an error saying that, okay, I think I will restart the server. Whatever the changes I did, it will not be applicable. So now I just restarted the server. I'll just go back, I'll send the same request. You can see okay, Okay, it did not give any response back, but you should check whether it is added or not. You just go to all products and send request. So you can see speaker is added, right? So this is what the post request is doing. So previously we had only four things: name, ID, and description. Now we have the fifth ID. How we did it using a post request. So we had a post request done for this add product URL, and I'm sending a body along with it. Means I'm sending some data. This has to be added with the already present JSON, right? This is a raw data I have chosen, and this raw data I'm sending it through a post request. So for that, what is the important annotation you need to use is your post body, where you are sending in any product details, one product detail that you are sending, right? And you also have to use this method is equal to request method dot post to do that activity, right? So I think you got this thing right. So how to do this adding any product to this details, right? So there is other two methods. Say I want to do update, and also if I want to do delete. Okay, so let us see how to do update and delete. So how do you what do you mean by update, guys? Already we have this details, right? So already we have these details. In case you want to update any of these details, say for example product 3, I want description to be something else. I want it to be 250cc or something. If I want to change these details, I want to update the already present details, then we need a method for it. So obviously that method, if you are coding, it should have ID of which you are updating, right? So you should take care of that ID. So what I will do is I will go and copy the same method which we have already coded, and I will make some changes in this. Okay, I'll add the same code, and here I will say update product. So I'll do update product. So what I'm passing here is I have instead of get, okay, update. So update. So now what is the request type that you should use here? So is it normal this request type, or should you change the request type? Obviously you need to have a different request, right? So you have to use this along with your normal attribute. Say you have value is equal to, okay, and here it is not post request, it is put request, correct? So because I think you have to change it to capital PUT. So this is a put request which I am doing. So in this put request, okay, so it has this response body is also required, right? Say you need one particular product. I have to get a product by ID, and then I have to alter it. So for that updation work, right? So you have to use slightly different syntax. Means see here you just use response body. So along with this response body, you also need this path variable, because you have to get the response as that product, and then you have to change it with this given ID. So I will just write this comma. So I am just passing two things here. Update product has a request body as well as a path variable which has this integer. Two things which I am calling here, and also update service dot update product method. So I have not coded this. You have to change it to product method. So the task is I want to write this code, right? So this is important now. Okay, I think there is some error here. One brace is extra. Okay. So what does update method do? It takes ID as a parameter, and see here you want to update the given data with the post request that you are sending, right? So maybe you have changed something in the post body, and that post body changes should be reflected in your actual product details. So you want to do that. So as of now I will just keep it void. I don't need this to return something. So I just want to make changes on that. So here, okay, so I need okay, I'll just write a for loop here for is equal to 0, I less than say I have product dot size of and I plus plus. So here what I need to update the values, right? So I will use a condition if my ID that I'm getting so this update method also has 2 arguments, right? I think that is what we missed out. This update also has 2 methods, 2 things. Okay, yeah, so it is also having 2 things. Product P, which I'm passing. I'll just use this pro here. And this argument here. So I will use this ID, this product dot ID. Equal to the ID which has been passed. If it is equal, then only I will do the alteration, update part of it. So for that I will use products. I think product dot set is the method. So I will set the newly added ID. I will set it as that ID. ID and product. Okay. I think this should work fine. There are some errors. Okay. And then I will just return this. Right. So now what I just did, I'm just updating a product with some ID. So there is one error here. I will just check it out. What is the error? Change update to. Okay, I don't want to return anything. I will just write false. I will stop the server and restart the server. So now it is an update request, right? So obviously I have to go to my Postman, and here I will change this request to put. Right, put is the request, and URL is update product /ID. Okay, so I will just use this here. Product /IDs. Say I want one instead of mobile. I want it to be something else. Okay, so you can set that details here in this body. You can set the details whatever you want it to be, right? So I want that ID to become some 10, and I want name to be instead of mobile it should be, say, what else, featured phone. Okay, and instead of description, okay, I just want to rename this description. So I just give description as call and text. So this should be changed, right? So I am choosing this product 1 instead of product 1. This detail should be updated. So that is my request which I am sending to that. So before I go to that, okay, I think I restarted the server. I'll just send this request. So it doesn't return anything because it's a void function, but I have done this updation part. So how to check it? I'll just go to my get request and get all the products. Okay, I think it is not affected here. What I will do is I will just do a post request to add products with this JPL. Okay, on this I will perform this put. Okay, so now speaker is the one, ID is 5, which is already present. So I will make use of this speaker. I will alter this speaker to something else. So I will use a put request. I will choose ID as 5, and I will change this description here. Okay, I'll just keep this ID same 5, and I will change it to featured phone and call or text. So I will just send this request. Okay, it is giving me an error. What is that error? Okay, index out of bound exception. Because I don't have length more than 5, that's why it is giving that error. So give it to 4. Okay. So I think it is not getting updated. So what actually happens is this method, right, update method will update the already present details. So it will update already present detail with the new request body that you are giving, right? So it will update that value. Okay, so next thing is delete. So I think delete is familiar, right? Instead of this request method dot put, you will use dot delete. Okay, so that is the only changes that we are going to do. So I have just done one more project. I'll just show it to you. So I think we have covered almost all the methods. So only the delete method. Yeah, so delete method will do this. There is one syntax that you want to use. A method is remove if. So if you find that statement true, it will remove if this ID is equal to this ID. If the ID matches, it will remove that data. So if you pass any ID, say 4, if that 4 is present in this list, say we had a list called as products. Now here the list is trainers, the train, right? So I will use train.remove if. So here also you can use say products.remove if. So just if you use this, your other functionality would be done here. So you just add this line there. I think we did this dummy project, right? So here just set the product. And we need a controller also for that.
as the controller for delete.